The future begins with the present, and this evening we have 4 youth leaders who are building the future of Long Beach. First, Citlali Hernandez is a senior at Wilson High School in Long Beach and a youth leader for Californians for Justice. Next, we have Dwayne Smith with Men Making a Change. With Kamai Girls in Action, we have Amanda M. And we have Christopher Scott Covington. He's a community organizer for Kamai Girls in Action. Good evening to all of you. Let's begin with this fact. 25% of Long Beach residents are under the age of 18. This is a young Long Beach. You must see that in your everyday lives. Talk about the significance of a young Long Beach. And I'd like to go around the panel and ask each of you to list one of the different challenges facing young people today. So you want to start maybe with Citlali?
I think the significance that Long Beach has such a strong youth group overall is that, well, it would be because a lot of the things that happen in our communities impact youth the most. So even statewide, a lot of things, most of the decisions made and policies or around certain things, especially involving education, affect youth the most. And so I think one of the issues that youth face the most in Long Beach is not being able to voice themselves and having an opinion on what decisions are going through that affect them the most. So not having a say in how money can be distributed in their schools or what resources they need the most in schools. I think that would be the biggest issue that youth faced.
Dewan?
Yeah, I feel like, there are challenges with voicing your opinions. With this being a young Long Beach, you see a lot of young people protesting rallies. A lot of young people are kind of, have to, I don't want to say radical, but you have to be, more outstanding to get your voice out there. And we do deal with a lot of things in Long Beach. You have peer pressures, so it's a lot of people that are affected by, influences, negative influences, because it is a young Long Beach. So you have the young kind of leading the young.
Right.
And that can be a good thing and a bad thing. I think that's why we're here, because we're trying to be that good leader, those good leaders in the community that the youth can look up to.
Thank you. Amanda?
I think that one of the most challenging things for youth in general, from all the work that I've done, is just being able to finish school and do it while you're still being well, because a lot of the times, especially from the Cambodian community, I noticed that a lot of people think of us under the model minority myth, and they automatically assume that Cambodians are better off or well off than most Southeast Asians.
Did you say model minority?
Yes.
Model minority.
Yeah.
So you're looked at as minorities who are all the other minorities should look at and be like.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And so with that, they automatically assume that we all go to college, we all get good jobs, and have these amazing lives. But from all the work that I've done with Kamai Girls in Action, that wasn't the case. A lot of our students who are at Poly or at a lot of the a lot of the colored students at the schools, they had really low graduation rates. And that's because a lot of the times when our students have to deal with family issues, financial issues, all that stuff, it all affects their wellness and how well they do in school. Because if you're not feeling well, your mind is elsewhere when it comes up to school. And so I think that's one of the most important things that affect youth.
And you are, Chris, you're multi-ethnic, and so you must see this from several different perspectives. You have several different ethnicities that you identify with. What are some of the challenges you as a multi-ethnic person kind of sees here in Long Beach?
Being multi-ethnic, I'm African-American, Irish, Scottish, Hispanic, and Chinese.
Oh my goodness.
So through my youth, it was always not feeling like I belonged. When I hung out with my African American neighbors. They're like, oh, you should go hang out with the Hispanics and Mexican kids, you know. And I'm like, no, I'm a part of you. I'm with you. And it just never clicked. And it happened and followed me throughout, even now, being accepted in, you know, different workforces and so on and so forth. But I'm so glad to work with a social justice organization who accepts me for who I am. Specifically with youth who identify as being multiracial, I do believe the core issue that they're facing is having support networks within their schools, especially within high school, because once you enter ninth grade, you're automatically entering a society where it's completely segregated. You have the football players, you have the soccer players, and then you have the Hispanic groups, the African American groups, and it even comes so far to at specific schools, they name those groups different towns. So being multi-ethnic, you're like, where can I go? Where do I belong? And I feel that there needs to be support networks, not only for multi-ethnic youth, but for youth across our community. There's after-school programs, then parks close normally at sundown, but where do you go from there?
Right.
What programs are available?
I thought it was interesting how you said that you're multi-ethnic and you struggled with being accepted, but in fact, isn't that where the future's going? Aren't we all eventually going to kind of be a shade of brown, café con leche, as Latinos call it? So this is why it's so important that you're here. We want to kind of show that this is the future and talk about some solutions, particularly within education. How can we make education more accessible, more something that some way to make it so that Latinos feel and African Americans and Cambodians feel like it's not just for one group, it's for all of us?
Like I said earlier, I think youth really need to be a part of the decision-making process.
So leadership development, because that
Basically.
sounds like emerging leaders. If you're a leader, you're going to be part of the decision. You're going to.
Because a lot of students, they complain about how things don't go their way. If you really wanted something to go your way, I think you should really put the effort and fight for it. So I think that because Long Beach has such a strong youth group, I think that there's a lot of voices that still need to be heard. There's a lot of voices that should be heard, and they're strong voices. They're young voices. So I think that because of that, that students really should just try to be more involved in what's going on at school, because society has grown into this behavior of not wanting to be a part of things. A lot of teenagers in school, they don't want to be a part of the things that some students do. They don't want to be part of school at all. They don't feel like they belong. They don't feel like they should be there. They feel like they'd rather be at home doing whatever they want to do rather than really trying to worry about what's going to happen to me. Right.
And hasn't it been true historically that when you get involved and you realize the power of these numbers, these statistics in Long Beach, how these numbers of these groups are growing, when they unite, change is more likely to happen, and we can address some of these challenges. Dewan, did you want to talk about some other possible ways to address challenges?
Well, I agree with the leadership development part of it. I feel like if you have a certain issue or something that's bothering you at school, or you think that you're not being represented well, I think that you should stand up and do something about that. Maybe talk to your principal and say, hey, I want to start a, African American history club, or, a Khmer history club or something like that, if you feel like you're not being represented. So I think education and leadership goes hand to hand.
Right.
So I agree with what you, totally I agree with what she just said. So me personally, I don't know. I haven't actually, I didn't go through the Long Beach Unified School District, so I don't know what they're teaching, if they're even teaching Black history as far as the African American male, but it's a lot of things that's kind of being left out. Like a lot of people don't know that African Americans, we have our own national anthem. People don't know that. It's probably people at home like, what? Like, what? Yeah, but we have our own national anthem. That's something I was taught in school.
Right.
But yeah, I think you just need to, advocate for what you want to learn in school.
Thank you. Amanda?
I think to better like represent the Cambodian community, I feel like a lot of the like decision making and problem solving and like a lot of the planning for certain events or certain things that are happening in our community aren't led by certain groups, and I feel that there should be specific like cohorts, basically like an Asian Pacific Islander cohort, so that they have their voice represented, because I feel like in those spaces a lot of the times it's Hispanic folks that's being represented, African American folks are being represented, but a lot of times we forget that there is a very large Cambodian population here in Long Beach especially.
How large is it outside of Cambodia?
We are the largest we have the largest population of Cambodians outside of Cambodia in the United States.
Wow.
There's over 19,000 Cambodians here. And so for us to be like have our own cohort, our own like representative when it comes up to decision making, I feel like that would really help address some of the issues, or like how how the Cambodian community goes through like certain issues.
Chris?
In addressing educational issues, youth development is key. But I feel we could take it a step forward in terms of having authentic partnership with our youth, with the youth who are actually taking the brunt of these issues. Oftentimes, education systems bring in professionals, people with doctorate degrees, and who are supposable experts on the issues of youth, but our youth are our experts. And I feel that our youth have to have authentic, true partnership with our school district in order to provide the necessary policies that will support our youth onto a pathway to success. Within the city of Long Beach, in the school district, students are actually suspended every 19 minutes during school hours based off of suspension and expulsion rates that are currently being targeted on our youth. And the majority of those youth who are taking the brunt of this are youth of color, the youth who are actually sitting here today. And there needs to be programs that address suspension issues, but create an alternative and arm our teachers with the skills and the necessary resources in order to provide conflict resolution within the classroom.
Interventions.
But key thing is creating community within the classroom.
Right.
If our youth can understand where our teachers are and our teachers can understand where our youth are, we build community and we become a unit rather than, oh, you're just another student in my classroom and I need you to leave because the bell's about to ring.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I wanted to ask you guys about future employment, jobs. Where do you guys see yourselves in about 10 years, let's say? What are your goals? Where do you plan to be in about 10 years?
Well, I still feel that in 10 years I'm still going to be kind of young, but I want to be able to study in political science or public administration and really try to figure out a better way to support the work that I do now. I think when I was introduced to this my freshman year of high school, that it really was able to help me identify myself and who I am and what I belong to. I think it really helped me figure out what I want to do with my life. I think the main thing I really want to do is being able to support youth in trying to make their lives easier and better and in a way privileged, because a lot of the times youth now, we're not privileged, especially youth of color. We go through so much trying to be at an equal level to those who are not like us. So I think 10 years from now, I want to help manage campaigns and write speeches, and I'm more interested in freelance writing also. But
do you think that'll be in Long Beach, or do you think that?
I think it's going to start off in Long Beach like it is now, but I think I'm looking at a bigger picture.
A bigger picture. Okay. Dewan, how about you? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years, I want to, finish my community work, doing a lot of community organizing and,
Will you be in Long Beach
I
doing
will-
that community work?
I would
and
like
if
to
not,
have
why
a-
not? And
Yeah,
if not, why
I
not?
would like to have some ties to Long Beach. I probably won't be living in Long Beach at that time because I like traveling. Like that's what brought me to here to good old Long Beach because
Right.
I travel. But yeah, I want to continue community work. Maybe have another nonprofit outside of Long Beach, maybe Compton. I do a lot of music, so I like having positive music, uplifting music to change the community. That's what youth are migrating to. It's like what's hot, what's new, and I want that new and hotness to be positive change. Conflict resolution. You don't have to always fight to be popular.
Right.
It's a lot of things going on. I can go on and on and on, but I
Sure,
want
but
to.
we just, I'm curious because I see a lot of talent up here, and I hope that you'll stay in Long Beach and remember, where you are now and some of the solutions. Can I ask you where you think you'll be
In 10
in
years.
terms of job or?
Yeah, in 10 years, I hope that I'll be finished with school by then. And I really do want to stay in Long Beach for like basically my whole life because I feel like I started this work. I started doing a lot of work to change my community since I was in 9th grade. And I really want to see like the results through to the end because I feel like you never know like what changes you can make unless you can see it through to the end.
Thank you, Chris.
In 10 years, I would have been completed with a bachelor's degree, so crossing my fingers. But what I see myself doing is, at the moment, I'm a community organizer. I work with youth, I work with parents to really provide policy change within our city and arming our parents and our students with the skills in order to make that change. And what I see myself in 10 years is providing the same service, but for all of Central Long Beach. I was born and raised there. I'm gonna live there. I love Long Beach because of the diversity that's in place.
It's what makes us such a rich place and such a wonderful, that our strength is in our diversity, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I see myself doing that on a larger level. I would either like to work with the city manager who provides a lot of those resources into our districts, or this is a far-fetched one, but within the state of California, we're seeing a trend of young elected officials, and I would like to build my skills in order to provide effective services in order to lead as a leader within my community so that the resources are being put where it's most needed within the city of Long Beach.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to thank you and all our guests for joining us on this special edition of News Long Beach, Reimagining Diversity in Long Beach on the Public Access Digital Network, PADNet. You can continue the discussion online on Facebook at News Long Beach and Voice Waves. I'm Andrea Solsona, Palacio de Long Beach Magazine. Make sure to pick up the latest copy dedicated to the diversity of Long Beach. Good night.